I want to tell you about the day someone looked me straight in the face and told me I was too stupid to matter. Not behind my back, not in a whisper. Right there, in front of 23 people who I had worked alongside for years. It was a Tuesday morning, the kind where you wake up thinking it will be ordinary. Just another shift, just another day of moving boxes and checking labels and making sure everything goes where it needs to go. I had been doing this for 8 years. 8 years of arriving before sunrise, of knowing which trucks arrive late, which drivers need extra help, which products sell fastest in which season. 8 years of learning every single detail about how our place worked. From the ground up, we worked for a company called Crestline Commerce. They sold everything from winter clothes to summer gear to household items. Hundreds of stores scattered everywhere, all depending on us to send them what they needed, when they needed it. I worked in the main warehouse, the heart of everything. If we messed up here, every store felt it. That morning, we had our usual meeting. Everyone gathered near the loading area because the meeting room was too small for all of us. The floor supervisor usually ran these meetings, went over the day's priorities, talked about any problems we needed to watch for. But that Tuesday was different. He showed up, the CEO's son. His name was Callum, 26 years old, fresh haircut, shoes that probably cost more than my monthly rent. He had joined the company 2 months earlier, given some fancy title that none of us really understood. His father owned everything, built Crestline from nothing 30 years ago, and now his son was being groomed to eventually take over. That's what people whispered. Anyway, Callum walked in carrying a folder, looking like he owned the world, which, technically, he almost did. "Good morning, everyone," he said, not really looking at anyone. "I'm taking over these morning briefings from now on. My father thinks it's time I get more involved in operations." People nodded. Nobody questioned it. What could we say? He started talking about new goals, new targets, new efficiency standards. Big words, impressive sounding. But anyone who actually worked the floor could tell he didn't understand how things really worked. He talked about moving more products faster, cutting time, pushing harder. All good in theory. In reality, you can't just snap your fingers and make everything go twice as fast. Then he brought up the holiday shipment schedule. "We're pushing everything out early this year," Callum announced. "Winter stock goes out this week, summer items next week. I've already revised the distribution list." My stomach dropped. I raised my hand. Old habit from school, I guess. Felt silly the moment I did it, but he noticed. "Yes? I think there might be a problem with those lists," I said, keeping my voice steady. "The numbers don't match what the stores actually ordered." He looked at me like I had just interrupted something important with something meaningless. "The numbers are fine. I checked them myself. But the southern stores ordered more summer items and less winter stock. And the northern stores need the opposite. If we send winter boots to stores near the coast where it never snows, they'll just send everything back. We'll lose weeks trying to fix it." I wasn't trying to challenge him. I was just trying to help. I had seen this exact problem happen 4 years ago, when someone mixed up regional orders. It had been a disaster, took months to sort out, cost the company so much money that 3 people lost their jobs over it. Callum stared at me for a long moment. Then he smiled. Not a friendly smile, the kind that makes your skin prickle. "What's your name?" he asked. "Shayna." "And what's your position here, Shayna?" "I work the floor. I check inventory, coordinate with drivers, make sure shipments match orders before trucks leave." "So you load boxes?" "I do more than that. I verify everything. Make sure nothing goes wrong before it leaves here." He nodded slowly, like he was considering what I said. Then he laughed. Actually, laughed. "You're too stupid to matter here," he said, still smiling. "Just do what you're told and shut up." The words hit me like a slap. Everyone went quiet. The kind of quiet where you can hear the building itself breathe. People looked down at their shoes, at the floor, anywhere, but at me or him. I felt my face get hot. My hands started trembling, so I shoved them in my pockets. I wanted to say something, wanted to defend myself, wanted to explain that I had been here longer than him, knew more than him, was trying to save the company from a massive mistake. But what could I say? He was the CEO's son. I was just someone who worked the floor. "But the numbers," I tried one more time. "Did I ask you to think?" Callum interrupted, his voice sharper now. "That's not your job. Your job is loading trucks. My job is making decisions. Understand?" I looked around. Nobody met my gaze. The floor supervisor looked uncomfortable but said nothing. My coworkers, people I had worked beside for years, people I had helped train, people I had covered for when they were sick or struggling, all of them just stood there. I understand, I said quietly. Good. Now, as I was saying before, I was interrupted. He kept talking. I stopped listening. My mind was racing, replaying what just happened over and over. Too stupid to matter. Those words kept echoing. Too stupid to matter. The meeting ended 10 minutes later. Everyone scattered quickly, avoiding me. I stood there for a moment, then walked to the loading area where the first trucks were already being filled. Before I continue further, I want to thank you for listening to this. I know it's not easy to hear about moments like this, when someone treats another person like they're worthless. But I need you to hear it, need you to understand what happened next. If you're listening from somewhere right now, wherever you are in the world, I hope you never have to feel what I felt that morning. Now back to the story. I worked my shift in a fog, moving boxes, checking labels, watching as the trucks got loaded with the wrong products, going to the wrong places. I could see the mistake happening in real time. Winter coats heading south, beach supplies heading north, everything backwards. Part of me wanted to say something again, wanted to grab someone, anyone, and make them see what I was seeing. But Callum's words kept playing in my head, too stupid to matter. So I stayed quiet. I did exactly what I was told. I loaded the trucks. That evening, after my shift ended, I sat in my car for 20 minutes before driving home. My hands were still shaking. I felt angry and humiliated and small. 8 years of experience, 8 years of caring about getting things right, and none of it mattered because someone with a fancy title and a famous last name decided I was too stupid to matter. When I got home, I found an old notebook in my kitchen drawer, the kind with plain pages, nothing special. I sat down and started writing. I wrote down everything that happened that morning, the date, the time, exactly what Callum said, exactly how he said it, every detail I could remember. I wrote down the shipment numbers, the distribution lists I had seen, the specific problems I had tried to warn him about. I didn't know why I was writing it all down. Maybe just to feel like I had some control over something. Maybe because putting it on paper made it real, made it something I could look at and know I wasn't crazy, wasn't imagining things. I went to work the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. Callum never apologized, never even looked at me. I became invisible to him, which was somehow worse than being insulted. The trucks kept leaving, wrong products, wrong destinations. I watched it happen and said nothing. My coworkers were awkward around me now. Some avoided me completely. A few would give me these apologetic looks but never actually said anything. One person, an older guy named Garrett who worked receiving, pulled me aside during lunch break. "You were right, you know," he said quietly. "About the shipment numbers. Doesn't matter now," I replied. "You should go talk to the CEO directly. Tell him what's happening." I shook my head. The CEO is overseas for the next month. Some big expansion deal. And even if he was here, you think he'd believe me over his own son? Garrett didn't have an answer for that. 2 weeks went by. I kept showing up, kept doing my job, kept my mouth shut, but I watched everything. I paid attention to which trucks went where, which stores were getting what. I knew the disaster was coming. It was just a matter of time. Then it started. The phone in the supervisor's office began ringing more than usual. At first, just a few times a day, then constantly. Store managers calling, frustrated, confused. Why were they receiving winter coats when they ordered tank tops? Why were swimsuits arriving at locations where people were preparing for snow? The supervisor, a woman named Brielle, who had been with the company for 15 years, looked more stressed each day. She spent hours on the phone, trying to calm people down, trying to explain what happened. But she couldn't explain it because she didn't fully understand it herself. She just knew that somehow, everything had gone wrong. I heard her talking to Callum one afternoon. I was moving inventory nearby, close enough to hear through the open door. "We have serious problems," Brielle said. 17 stores have called today alone. They're threatening to send everything back. This is going to cost us enormously. "It's probably just the suppliers messing up," Callum replied. His voice still had that confident edge, but I could hear something else underneath now. "Worry, maybe. Contact them. Tell them to fix it." I did contact them. The suppliers sent exactly what we ordered. The problem isn't on their end. It's ours. Someone mixed up the distribution lists. Silence for a moment. Well, figure it out, Callum said finally. That's what you're here for. I'm trying, but I need to know who made these lists, who changed the original orders, because whoever did that is responsible for this disaster. I'll look into it. But he didn't look into it. Instead, he started blaming everyone else. The warehouse workers weren't careful enough. The drivers weren't checking properly. The supervisors weren't supervising. Everyone's fault except his own. More stores called. The complaints got louder. Some stores were now saying they would break their agreements with Crestline if this wasn't fixed immediately. They had customers waiting for products. They had empty shelves. They were losing money every day. Callum started coming to the warehouse more often, walking around with this tense expression, asking questions, trying to understand what went wrong. But he didn't ask me, never even glanced in my direction. I watched him spiraling, watched him getting more desperate. Part of me felt satisfied. Another part felt something heavier, because I knew this was going to get much worse before it got better. 3 weeks after that morning meeting, after that moment when he called me too stupid to matter, things reached a breaking point. It was a Friday evening. Most people had already left. I was finishing up my shift, doing final checks on the weekend inventory. The warehouse was mostly quiet, just the hum of machinery and distant sounds of the last few trucks pulling away. I heard footsteps behind me, fast footsteps, almost running. I turned around and there he was, Callum. But he looked completely different from that confident person who had laughed at me 3 weeks ago. His hair was messy. His shirt was wrinkled. He was sweating despite the cool warehouse air. "Shayna," he said, slightly out of breath. I just looked at him, didn't say anything. "I need your help." Those words hung between us. "I need your help," from someone who had told me I was too stupid to matter. "With what?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. "This shipment situation. It's gotten really bad. Worse than anyone realized. My father is coming back Monday morning. He's going to want answers, explanations, solutions." Callum ran a hand through his hair. "You know the suppliers, right? You've worked here the longest. You know how everything connects. Can you tell me how to fix this mess?" I set down the clipboard I was holding, looked at him for a long moment, really looked at him, saw the panic in his expression, the desperation. "Why would someone too stupid to matter know anything useful?" I asked quietly. His face changed. Recognition hit him. He remembered. "Look," he said quickly, "I'm sorry about that. I was under a lot of pressure. My father had just given me this responsibility, and I was stressed, and I said something stupid. I didn't mean it." "You meant it." "I didn't. I swear. I was just—" He trailed off, seemed to realize there was no good excuse. "Please. I'll make it right. I'll apologize publicly. I'll tell everyone I was wrong. Just help me sort this out before Monday." I thought about it, thought about how easy it would be to just tell him what to do. Explain the fix. Save him. Save the company from losing more money. Because despite everything, I still cared about Crestline. I cared about the people who worked there, the people who depended on those paychecks. But then I remembered standing in front of everyone while he laughed at me, remembered how nobody defended me, remembered going home and shaking in my car, remembered feeling worthless. "No," I said. He blinked. "What?" I said no. "I'm not helping you. But you just said you care about the company." "I never said that. You assumed it." I picked up my clipboard again, turned back to my work. "You should go figure it out yourself. Your management. I just load trucks. Remember? Shayna, please. You don't understand how serious this is. We're losing millions. Stores are threatening to leave. My father is going to." He stopped. Didn't finish that sentence. Didn't want to admit what his father might do. "That sounds like a you problem," I said, without looking at him. "I'll do anything. Name it. You want a raise? A promotion? Better hours?" Now I turned back to face him. "You think this is about money? Then what is it about?" "It's about respect. Something you clearly don't have for people like me." I said I'm sorry. "No. You said you were under pressure. That's not an apology. That's an excuse." I moved past him, heading toward the exit. My shift was over. "Good luck on Monday." "Wait." He followed me. "Shayna, please. I'm begging you. I can't lose this position. My father will never forgive me." This was my chance to prove myself, and I messed it up, and I need someone who actually knows what they're doing to help me fix it. I stopped walking, turned to look at him one more time. You had someone who knew what they were doing, I said. 3 weeks ago. She tried to help you. You called her too stupid to matter. You told her to shut up and load trucks. So that's what she's going to do. Load trucks. Because that's all she's qualified for, apparently. I left him standing there in the warehouse, walked to my car, drove home, and I felt lighter than I had in weeks. That weekend, I barely thought about work. I cleaned my apartment. I watched movies. I cooked actual meals instead of heating up frozen food. I slept well for the first time in 3 weeks. Monday morning came. I arrived at my usual time, before sunrise. The warehouse was unusually busy for that early hour. More people than normal, more noise, more tension in the air. Then I saw him, the CEO, Callum's father. His name was Theodore, 61 years old, built like someone who had spent his youth doing manual labor before building his business empire. He had arrived early, earlier than anyone expected. He was standing in the main warehouse area, talking to Brielle and several other managers. His expression was stone. Next to him, Callum looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. I clocked in quietly, tried to stay out of sight, started my morning routine like usual. But then Brielle noticed me. Shayna, can you come here, please? My heart started beating faster. I walked over slowly. Theodore looked at me. His gaze was sharp, assessing. You're Shayna? Yes, sir. I'm told you tried to warn my son about a shipment problem 3 weeks ago. Is that correct? I glanced at Callum. He wouldn't meet my gaze. Yes, sir. Tell me exactly what happened. So I did. I told him about the morning meeting, about noticing the distribution lists were wrong, about trying to explain the problem. I kept my voice calm, factual. I didn't mention the insult, didn't mention how Callum had humiliated me, just stuck to the facts about the shipment issue. When I finished, Theodore was quiet for a moment. Then he turned to his son. Is this true? Callum nodded miserably. And did you check her concerns? Verify whether she was right? I thought. I assumed the lists were correct. I had spent hours on them, and I didn't think. You didn't think someone who had been here for 8 years might know something you didn't? Callum said nothing. Theodore looked back at me. Why didn't you push harder? Come directly to me? You were overseas, sir. And I hesitated. And what? And your son made it very clear that my opinion didn't matter, that I should just do my job and stay quiet. Did he? It wasn't a question. Theodore's jaw tightened. What else did he say? I looked at Callum again. He was staring at the ground. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. He said I was too stupid to matter here. He told me to shut up and load trucks. The warehouse had gone completely quiet. Everyone nearby was listening now, pretending to work, but clearly paying attention. Theodore's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his bearing. He turned to his son with a look I wouldn't want directed at me. Outside. My office. Now. They left together. Callum looked back once as they walked away, and I saw genuine fear in his expression. The rest of us stood there in awkward silence for a moment. Then Brielle cleared her throat. Everyone back to work, she said quietly. I went to my station, tried to focus on inventory, but my hands were shaking again, though for different reasons this time. An hour later, Brielle came to find me. Theodore wants to speak with you, she said. In the upstairs office. I followed her up, my mind racing. Was I in trouble? Was I about to get blamed for not trying harder to stop this disaster? The office was spacious, but not flashy. Theodore sat behind a large wooden surface, looking tired. Callum stood to the side, and he looked worse than tired. He looked broken. Sit, Theodore said to me, gesturing to a seat. I sat. I've spent the last hour going through everything, Theodore said. The shipment lists, the orders, the complaints, the financial damage. And I've spoken with my son about what happened 3 weeks ago. I waited. You were right. About all of it. The distribution was completely backwards. If we had listened to you, we could have avoided millions in losses and saved our relationships with dozens of stores. Yes, sir. My son has explained to me exactly what he said to you, how he treated you, what he called you. Theodore leaned back. That is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. I don't care whose son he is. Nobody in this company talks to another person that way. Callum shifted uncomfortably but stayed silent. I built Crestline from nothing, Theodore continued. Started in a warehouse smaller than this one, doing exactly what you do. loading, checking, learning every single piece of how this business works. I thought I had taught my son that same respect for everyone who works here. Clearly, I failed. Father, Callum started. I'm not talking to you right now. Theodore's voice was sharp. He looked back at me. Shayna, I'm offering you my sincere apology for what happened, and I'm offering you a choice. I wasn't expecting that. A choice? My son needs to learn this business properly. From the ground up, the way I did, the way you did. He needs to understand that the people working the floor aren't just bodies moving boxes. They're the ones who actually know how things work. Theodore paused. I'm removing him from his current position. He's going to spend the next 6 months working in the warehouse, learning the job he dismissed as unimportant. Callum's head snapped up, shock written all over his face. But he didn't argue, didn't protest, just stood there, absorbing the news. And, Theodore continued, he's going to report directly to you. Now it was my turn to look shocked. Sir, you know this warehouse better than anyone. You spot problems before they become disasters. You care about getting things right. Those are exactly the qualities we need in leadership. Theodore folded his hands. I'm promoting you to floor operations lead. You'll oversee the daily warehouse operations, train new workers, and supervise anyone who needs to learn how things actually work, including my son. I couldn't speak for a moment. My mind was spinning. The choice I'm offering you, Theodore said, is whether you want this position, whether you want to stay with a company that allowed you to be treated so poorly. I wouldn't blame you if you said no, if you wanted to walk away and never look back. I thought about it, really thought about it. Part of me wanted to leave, wanted to tell Theodore that some damage can't be fixed with a promotion. But another part of me remembered why I had stayed all these years. Because I was good at this. Because I cared about doing things right. Because this job, despite everything, mattered to me. I'll stay, I said. I'll take the position. Theodore nodded, something like approval in his expression. Good. You start immediately. Your first responsibility is teaching my son everything you know. And Callum? He turned to his son. You will do exactly what she tells you. You will ask questions when you don't understand. You will treat her and everyone else in this warehouse with respect. If I hear one complaint, one word that you've stepped out of line, you're finished here. Understood? Yes, sir, Callum said quietly. Dismissed. Both of you. We left the office together, walking down the stairs in silence. When we reached the warehouse floor, Callum stopped. Shayna, Save it, I interrupted. Your father already apologized. You're here to work now. That's all that matters. He nodded slowly. Where do I start? I looked at him for a moment. This person, who had laughed at me, who had made me feel worthless, was now asking me what to do. Go find Brielle. Tell her you need warehouse work clothes, steel-toed boots, gloves. Once you're changed, meet me at the receiving area. Okay. He walked away, and I stood there processing everything that had just happened. In less than 2 hours, my entire situation had flipped. I was now in charge. Callum was now under me. The other workers had noticed something was different. They whispered to each other, shooting glances my way. Brielle approached me. So it's true? She asked. You're the new lead? Apparently. About time, she said. You should have been promoted years ago. Everyone knows you basically run this place already. She paused. And Callum? Learning from the bottom. Brielle smiled slightly. That's going to be interesting. Interesting was one word for it. Callum showed up 20 minutes later wearing basic work clothes that looked brand new. The boots probably still had the price tag on them yesterday. He looked uncomfortable, out of place. All right, I said. First lesson. See those trucks over there? 4 of them arrived this morning with products from different suppliers. Your job is to help unload them. Check every single item against the delivery list and organize everything by category in the storage zones. That's it. That's it for today. Tomorrow you'll learn the next part. But today, you're just unloading and organizing. He looked at the trucks. They were big, full. It was going to take hours of physical work. Do I work alone? He asked. No, you'll work with the receiving team. Garrett will show you what to do. Follow his instructions exactly. I walked him over to where Garrett was checking a delivery list. Garrett looked up, saw Callum, and his eyebrows went up. Garrett, this is Callum. He's training with us for the next 6 months. Can you walk him through receiving procedures? Garrett glanced at me, then at Callum, then back at me. Understanding dawned in his expression. Sure thing. Come on, kid. Let's get you started. I watched them walk toward the first truck, watched Callum climb up into the cargo area, watched him start lifting boxes, clearly not used to this kind of physical work. My name is Shayna, by the way. I should have mentioned that earlier. Shayna Reddy, 29 years old, grew up in a small town 3 hours from here. Started working at Crestline right after finishing school because I needed money and they were hiring. Never imagined I'd still be here 8 years later. Never imagined I'd end up running the floor. The first week was brutal. Not for me, but for Callum. He showed up every morning at the same time as everyone else. He did the grunt work. He lifted boxes until his arms shook. He learned how to check inventory lists. He made mistakes and had to redo things. And every single day, he had to ask me or someone else for help. Had to admit he didn't know something. Had to swallow his pride and listen. I wasn't cruel to him. I didn't mock him or belittle him or throw his own words back in his face, tempting as it was. I just treated him like any other new worker, showed him how things worked, corrected him when he was wrong, answered his questions. But I didn't go easy on him either. The storage zones are organized by season and category. I explained one morning. Winter clothes in Section A. Summer items in Section B, household goods in Section C. Everything has a specific place. You put something in the wrong spot, we waste time searching for it later. Callum was sweating, even though the warehouse was cool. He had been moving boxes for 3 hours straight. How do you remember where everything goes? You learn, you pay attention, you care enough to get it right. I handed him another box. This one goes in Section B, slot 17. He carried it over, found the right spot, set it down carefully. The other workers watched this dynamic with barely concealed amusement. Some were more open about enjoying it. During lunch breaks, I'd hear comments. Never thought I'd see the day. He's actually doing the work. Think he'll last the full 6 months? I wondered that too. But as the days turned into weeks, something unexpected started happening. Callum stopped complaining, stopped looking miserable. He just worked. Asked questions, learned. Sometimes I'd catch him studying the inventory sheets during breaks, trying to memorize product codes. One afternoon, about a month into his training, we had an urgent situation. A truck needed to be loaded and sent out within 2 hours because a store had run completely out of their best-selling items. Everyone was scrambling. Shayna, Brielle called out. We need someone who can pull these items fast. The list is long and complicated. I was already handling another problem, a supplier delivery that came with damaged goods. I can do it, Callum said. Everyone turned to look at him. You sure? Brielle asked skeptically. This list has 40 different items from 5 different sections. Everything needs to be exact. I can do it, he repeated, taking the list from her. I've been studying the layouts. I nodded. Go. But double-check everything before it goes on the truck. He moved fast, pulling items with surprising accuracy. I watched him work while dealing with my own situation. He made one mistake, grabbed the wrong size of something, but caught it himself and corrected it before loading. The truck left on time. Crisis averted. He's getting better, Garrett commented later. Still has a lot to learn, but he's actually trying. Yeah, I said, but I didn't let that soften me. Because getting better at the job was one thing. Understanding what he had done to me, really understanding it, was something else entirely. 2 months in, during a particularly busy Friday afternoon, one of the younger workers made a mistake, a big one. He loaded an entire truck with the wrong products. By the time anyone noticed, the truck was already on the highway, an hour away. The kid was panicking. I'm so sorry. I wasn't paying attention. I mixed up the order numbers. Brielle was furious. Do you have any idea how much this is going to cost to fix? We have to call that truck back, unload everything, reload it correctly, and now it's going to arrive a day late. The kid looked like he might cry. He was 19, only been working here for 2 months. I'll fix it. I'll stay late. I'll do whatever. You should be fired, Brielle snapped. Wait, Callum spoke up. Everyone looked at him. He had been organizing nearby, had heard the whole thing. It's an honest mistake. He's still learning. Let him fix it. I'll help him reload the truck properly when it gets back. Brielle's expression was doubtful. This is serious. I know, But firing someone over one mistake when they're still new? That doesn't seem right. Callum looked at the kid. You'll learn from this. You'll be more careful, right? The kid nodded frantically. I swear, I'll triple-check everything from now on. Brielle looked at me. Your call. You're the lead. You're the lead. I thought about it. Thought about second chances. About mistakes. About being treated like you matter. He stays, I said. But you're both reloading that truck correctly when it returns. And you, I pointed at the kid, are going to spend tomorrow morning with me, learning proper order verification procedures. Thank you, the kid said, relief flooding his face. After he walked away, Callum approached me. Can I talk to you for a minute? Privately? We stepped outside to the loading area where it was quieter. What? I asked. I just wanted to say, I get it now. What you tried to tell me that morning. Why it mattered. He looked uncomfortable, but pressed on. These past 2 months, I've worked alongside everyone here. I've seen how hard they work, how much they know, how much they care about getting things right. And I was so arrogant, thinking I could just show up and tell people what to do without understanding anything. I didn't respond, just waited. When that kid made a mistake just now, my first instinct 2 months ago would have been to blame him, to get him out of the way. But now I understand that everyone makes mistakes. What matters is whether you learn from them, whether you treat people like human beings who deserve respect and second chances. He paused, looking directly at me. What I said to you was unforgivable, and I know apologizing doesn't erase it. Nothing can erase it. But I want you to know that I genuinely understand now why it was so wrong. Not just wrong because my father punished me for it, but wrong because you deserved better. Everyone here deserves better. I studied his face. He meant it. I could tell. Okay, I said simply. Okay, you're learning. That's what this is for. Keep learning. I walked back inside, leaving him to think about what he had just said. 3 months passed, then 4. The holiday season approached again, exactly 1 year after the disaster. But this time, we were prepared. This time, Callum knew better than to ignore the people who actually understood how everything worked. He had changed, really changed. Not just in the way he worked, but in the way he talked to people. He asked questions with genuine curiosity. He listened when people explained things. When someone made a suggestion, he considered it instead of dismissing it. Shayna, he said one morning, looking over the new holiday distribution lists. These numbers for the coastal stores seem high for winter items. Should we adjust them? I checked his work. He was right. Good catch. Send it back for revision. He smiled slightly. Not a proud smile, just a satisfied one. The smile of someone who was getting better at something difficult. The holiday shipments went perfectly. Every store got exactly what they ordered. No complaints, no returns, no disasters. Theodore came to the warehouse to personally thank everyone for a successful season. This is what I built this company on, he told the whole team during a morning meeting. People who care, people who work hard, people who respect each other and the work they do. I'm proud of all of you. His gaze lingered on Callum for a moment, then on me. Something passed between the three of us. An understanding. Month 5 arrived. Callum's training was nearly complete. He could handle almost any task in the warehouse now. He knew the storage systems, the shipping procedures, the supplier relationships. He could spot problems before they became emergencies. He had earned the respect of most of the workers, though some still kept their distance. One afternoon, I found him sitting in the break area during lunch, eating a sandwich and reviewing supplier contracts. You don't have to do that during lunch, I said, sitting across from him. I know. I just want to understand the bigger picture, how everything connects. He looked up. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you stay? After what I did, after how I treated you, why didn't you leave? You could have found work anywhere. You clearly have the skills. I thought about how to answer that, because walking away would have meant letting what you said define me, would have meant accepting that I was too stupid to matter. By staying, by taking the promotion, by teaching you how wrong you were, I proved that you were the problem, not me. He nodded slowly. I was the problem. Yes, you were. Do you think I've changed enough? Do you think I'm actually different now? Or am I just better at pretending? It was a surprisingly honest question. I think you've changed. But the real test isn't how you act when someone's watching. It's how you act when nobody is. What you do when you have power again. If I have power again, he corrected. My father hasn't said what happens after these 6 months end. He'll give you another chance. That's what fathers do. But whether you deserve it, whether you've actually learned anything, that's up to you. We sat in silence for a moment. For what it's worth, Callum said quietly, you were never stupid. You were the smartest person in that room. And I was too arrogant and insecure to see it. I know, I said. But thank you for finally saying it. Month 6 arrived faster than I expected. Callum's official training period was ending. Theodore scheduled a meeting with both of us. We sat in his office again, same seats as 6 months ago, but everything felt different now. Callum, Theodore began. Your training period is complete. I've received reports from Shayna, from Brielle, from several other supervisors. They all say the same thing. You've worked hard. You've learned. You've changed your attitude completely. Callum sat straighter but didn't smile, just waited. However, Theodore continued, learning to work in a warehouse and learning to lead are two different things. You understand the operations now, but do you understand leadership? I'm starting to, Callum said carefully. I understand that leadership isn't about having power over people. It's about enabling them to do their best work. It's about listening to the people who actually know what they're doing, even when they're not in fancy positions. Theodore looked at me. Has he learned that lesson? He's learned it here, I said, but he learned it in a situation where he had no choice, where he was being watched. The real question is whether he'll remember it when things get comfortable again. Fair point. Theodore leaned forward. Callum, I'm giving you a new position, not the one you had before. You're not ready for that level of responsibility yet, but you'll be working as an operations manager, coordinating between the warehouse teams and the regional stores. You'll report to Shayna. Callum blinked. I'll report to Shayna? Yes. She's proven herself more than capable of handling leadership, and you've proven that you can work under her supervision. This arrangement continues until I'm confident you can handle more responsibility without letting it go to your head. I hadn't expected that either. I thought Callum's training period would end, and we'd go back to some version of the old hierarchy. But Theodore was making it clear that things had permanently changed. I understand, Callum said. Thank you for the opportunity. Don't thank me. Thank Shayna for not quitting after what you did. Thank the team for accepting you back, and prove to everyone that you actually deserve another chance. After the meeting, Callum and I walked back to the warehouse together. You okay with this? He asked. Me still reporting to you? I'm fine with it, as long as you actually do your job and don't make me regret giving you honest assessments. I will. I will do my job, not make you regret it. He paused at the warehouse entrance. Shayna, I know I've said this before, but I need to say it again. Thank you. For not destroying me when you had every reason to. For teaching me instead of just letting me fail. For giving me a chance to become better. I didn't do it for you, I said honestly. I did it for me, because being the bigger person, being the one who rises above pettiness and cruelty, that's who I want to be. That's who I am. He smiled, a real smile this time. I'm glad you are. We went back to work, back to the familiar rhythm of the warehouse, the sounds of trucks and forklifts and people calling out to each other. But everything was different now. I was different. Callum was different. The whole dynamic had shifted. Over the next few months, Callum worked hard in his new role. He coordinated shipments, solved problems, communicated between different departments, and whenever he faced a difficult decision, he came to me first, asked for input, listened to advice. The other workers noticed. They warmed up to him gradually, started including him in conversations during breaks, started treating him less like the boss's son who had messed up and more like a colleague who was trying his best. 1 year after that terrible morning, when he had called me too stupid to matter, we had another holiday season meeting. Everyone gathered in the warehouse. Theodore was there, Brielle, all the supervisors, all the workers. Last year at this time, Theodore said, we had a disaster. We lost money, relationships, trust. This year, we had our most successful holiday season ever. Every shipment went out correctly. Every store got what they needed. And we did it because everyone here worked together, respected each other, and listened when people spoke up about potential problems. He looked at Callum. My son learned a hard but necessary lesson. He learned that respect isn't given based on your title or your last name. It's earned through how you treat people, how you work, how you lead. Then Theodore looked at me, and Shayna learned something too. She learned that standing up for yourself, even when it's difficult, even when it seems like nobody will support you, is always worth it. She proved that knowledge and experience matter more than arrogance and assumptions. Everyone clapped. It felt genuine, not just obligatory. After the meeting, as people were leaving, Callum approached me one more time. "I've been thinking about that morning," he said. "The morning I said those things to you. I've been thinking about what I could have done differently. And I should have listened, should have asked you to explain more, instead of cutting you off, should have valued your experience, should have treated you like the expert you are." He paused. "But I also want you to know something. What happened after, everything you did, the way you handled it, that changed my life. You could have ruined me, could have exposed me as incompetent in front of my father and everyone else. Instead, you just stepped back and let the situation speak for itself, let me fail on my own, then gave me a chance to learn. That wasn't kindness," I said. "That was strategy." "I know. That's what makes it brilliant." He smiled slightly. "You got your revenge by becoming successful, by proving your worth, by making me work under you and learn from you every single day. That's so much more effective than just getting me fired or humiliating me publicly. Is that what you think this was about? Revenge? Wasn't it?" I considered the question. Maybe at first, but it became about something bigger, about changing how things work, about making sure people like me don't get dismissed and insulted just because someone higher up doesn't want to listen. "You succeeded at that. We'll see. Real change takes time." He nodded. "Well, for whatever it's worth, I'm different now because of you, and I'll spend the rest of my career making sure I never treat anyone the way I treated you." "Good," I said. "That's all I wanted." He walked away, and I stood there in the warehouse I had worked in for 9 years now, the place that had seen me at my lowest, heard me get insulted, watched me get humiliated, the same place that had now seen me rise, take charge, become someone who mattered. Too stupid to matter, that's what he had called me. But here I was, running operations, training the owner's son, proving every single day that intelligence isn't measured by your position or your title or your confidence. It's measured by what you know, how you use that knowledge, and whether you have the courage to speak up even when nobody wants to listen. I looked around at the warehouse, at all the workers doing their jobs, at the organized chaos of products moving in and out, at the system that worked because people cared enough to make it work. This was mine now, not legally, not officially, but in every way that mattered, and nobody could ever take that away from me. Thank you for listening to this story. If you found it meaningful, if it made you think about how we treat each other, how we value people regardless of their position, I'd appreciate if you could like this video and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Maybe you've experienced something similar. Maybe you've been the person who dismissed someone and learned better. Either way, your story matters too. And if you want to hear more stories like this, real human experiences that teach us something about ourselves and each other, please subscribe. There are so many more stories to tell.